All right, so this segment is going to be about TJ Hockenson and why I think that TJ Hockenson is just he's a player we need to be taking a little bit more seriously. I know he's not cool yet. He's not somebody that has a lot of wind in his sails yet. But it doesn't make any sense that he doesn't. So I'm just going to read off some information and some tweets here. And, if you don't follow me on Twitter at 50 Shades of Drunk, I've realized that I put a lot of really good information on Twitter and then somehow I don't ever get it onto the podcast or onto the feed. But I want to start focusing on that a little bit more. So number one, he's got Kirk Cousins passing the ball. You know what that means. I mean, if you dude's had 8 straight seasons of 25 plus passing touchdowns, only the 5th player to ever do that. 66.8% career completion percentage, 37,000 passing yards. That's Kirk Cousins numbers. But let's go ahead and talk about TJ Hockenson. So in a PPR points per game, people want to Travis Kelce, amazing, 19. TJ Hockenson had 13.3 last season. That's more than George Kittle, who had 13, and that's more than Mark Andrews, who had 12.7. So points per game, PPR, full PPR, he was better last season. One of the main arguments you'll hear against him, though, and you'll hear it by smart people, and it's a smart argument, which should throw up the red flags immediately, in my opinion, is the yards per route run, things like that. Oh, well, he didn't have as many yards per route run. Okay, I don't care, but I'm listening. Let's go further than that. Oh, well, his target percentage, he didn't have the higher target share. TJ Hockenson only had a 22% target share. Where'd it go? Here it is. All right, so target share. In 2022, 22% target share went to TJ Hockenson, okay, when he was with the Vikings. In 2022, a 27% target share went to Mark Andrews. So, whoa, Jordan, obviously, you nincompoop. Mark Andrews is the better player for fantasy. He had a higher target share, and he had a higher yards per route run. Jordan, you fool. And, I'm fine with that. I'm a goofball. Man, I didn't know all that stuff. But I'll do the research. People will throw these numbers out at me, and I'll go do the research. So I did the research. So I said, okay, 27% target share for Mark Andrews. What does that mean in actual targets to the player? Because the offenses are vastly different. Okay, vastly different. These are those intangible qualitative variables. And I said, what's a 22% target share mean for TJ Hockenson? Raw numbers only. So I went that and did the math. So if you do the math in the offense that TJ Hockenson was in, they threw 672 times. And he had a 22% target share on that. And then Mark Andrews, his offense threw 488 times. He had a 27% target share. But if you do the raw numbers, if you do the math, there's a 10 plus, I think it's like 11 target advantage to TJ Hockenson. So even with the extra yards per route run metric and the 5% increased target share, big stuff. He has 10 less raw targets to work with. Fantasy football is a game based on accumulation of stats, receptions, yards, touchdowns, essentially, if you want to boil it down to that. Not yards per route run, not shares. These things are meant to be factors on the outside we can look at and maybe make adjustments for. These are not meant to be used in lieu of points, in my opinion, or the metrics that score points. So why am I circling? Why am I just going on and on about this? Because in every single smart dynasty circle that exists right now, I've looked at them. I see them. Okay. Right now at this moment, it'll probably change very soon because enough people have kind of started speaking up on this. But he's not the second. He's not even the third tight end for a lot of people. Why? Because he doesn't hit those random auxiliary metrics that Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews and, OJ Howard's of the past hit. What does he do? So let's talk about what TJ Hockenson does do. And I'm just, again, I'm just a pleb. I'm just going to go right back to just the raw numbers of last year because everyone wants to make it about Mark Andrews, which is fine. I love Mark Andrews. Don't get me wrong. But who's better, Mark Andrews or TJ Hockenson? Well, there's a right answer and there's a right answer. The right answer is Mark Andrews. But the actual right answer, TJ Hockenson last year had 8.6 targets a game, 6 receptions a game when he got to the Vikings. That was with Justin Jefferson gobbling up targets. That was with Dalvin Cook still being a pass-catching running back. And that was with Adam Thielen still on the team. Mark Andrews has beaten those numbers in his career. He's been in the league 5 years. One time without Lamar Jackson. Barely. We're talking barely. I think he had, so it's technically 8.6 targets a game for my man TJ Hockenson. I think it was like 8.9 whenever it was at the highest for Mark Andrews. Again, without Lamar Jackson last year. 6 receptions a game, identical at his best. So we have a player who's done it more recently in a situation that looks and feels and just is more conducive to moving the ball with a quarterback that we know can throw. And for whatever reason, even with all the raw numbers, the numbers that score fantasy points pointing to him being undervalued, he continues to be put behind players who have the auxiliary numbers behind them. So what does that mean for us as smart dynasty players? That means it's time to seriously consider adding Mark Andrews, who is a 26-year-old tight end who, again, got 8.6 targets a game last season after he went to the Vikings. Oh, Jordan Addison. I don't give a crap about Jordan Addison. So what? Who cares? He's another player. That's great. We know what TJ Hockenson is, okay? And if you remember what he was Kyle Pitts before Kyle Pitts, okay? So I don't understand how we got where we're at, where I have to go to bat for an elite tight end who, for whatever reason, is being pushed down the board. But it's time to get on him in Dynasty now because we're going to see a great reckoning at the tight end position, I think, this season. And I think at the end of it, we could see a massive consensus towards Hockenson. Again, 26 years old. He's got a lot of football left to play. A lot of football to play. And he's already pulling in almost 9 targets a game. I'm in. So I had to bring him up. I wanted to make him kind of the focus of my dynasty conversation today. He should be viewed, in my opinion, as the dynasty tight end 1 or 2. That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. And I think that more people will get on board with that sooner than later.